From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, I'm Melanie Levesque, and this is 1680 The Crow. Up to 25 Canadians have now been able to leave Gaza. Laurie Paris of the Canadian Press has more.
Global Affairs Canada says Canadian officials are on the Egyptian side of the border and bringing the citizens, permanent residents, and their families to safety in Cairo. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the work continues to evacuate the rest of the Canadians from the territory.
There are hundreds to get out, so we're going to continue to work day and night until all Canadians and their families are out of Gaza. This is a priority for this government.
Tuesday marked the first time Canada was listed among the countries with citizens given the green light to leave Gaza since the war began a month ago. Laurie Paris, the Canadian Press.
Surrey police are looking into an attack at a soccer game. Our reporter Jagraj Lally has more.
In a shocking incident at Newton Athletic Park on Saturday night, a mob of South Asian men stormed the soccer field, assaulting players from a Latin American team in a Metro Vancouver Soccer League game. The violence erupted following a foul during the match. A witness described the scene as one of the worst things they've ever witnessed, with individuals throwing punches and a full-blown brawl unfolding. Approximately 15 men aged 20 to 35 who were not part of the teams joined the melee. Police, including officers from the Surrey Police Service and Surrey RCMP, responded to the scene, but no arrests have been made yet. The investigation is ongoing, with authorities reviewing surveillance footage to figure out the circumstances leading to the assault. The incident left players and spectators, including women, children, and the elderly, in a state of shock and fear. Jagraj Lally, 1680, The Crow.
New BC legislation surrounding infrastructure was tabled today, with the goal of eliminating long and costly rezoning negotiations between developers and authorities. The legislation is promising to reduce delays by cutting the number of rezonings through utilizing upfront zoning. Cities will also be able to use the funds collected through development cost charges to help pay for their share of provincial highway projects. This would benefit communities by creating roads to locations such as new housing. Due to a rock slide, an area in southern BC has been forced to evacuate. Our reporter Jake McGraw has more.
Residents near Karamios and nearby communities have had their access to the lower mainland severely limited, making transportation through the area much harder. The Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen has also ordered the evacuation of 2 RV parks along the highway. Information Officer for the RDOS Emergency Operations Center, Eric Thompson, says his focus is on those living in the area more than transportation concerns.
The key is the safety of people living in the area and traveling on the highway. There is certainly disruption, but the most important thing in the short term and going forward really is life and safety.
There is currently no timeline for when exactly the highway will reopen. Jake McGrail, 1680 The Crow.
First Nation leaders from BC are in Ottawa today asking the federal government to take a strict stance and transition away from open-net salmon farms in coastal waters by 2025. Bob Chamberlain of the First Nations Wild Salmon Alliance said they plan to speak to federal authorities about how most Indigenous people support this transition.
The message we carry to the federal government is that this is a very clear opportunity for the federal government to take meaningful actions for reconciliation with First Nations literally across the province of British Columbia.
Now for weather, in Vancouver it's a mix of sun and cloud. It is 10 degrees Celsius. Going into the rest of the week, there'll be mostly rainy conditions with a high of 11 degrees and a low of 6 degrees. Thanks for listening. I'm Melanie Levesque, and this is 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
I'm on the top of the world looking down one creation, and the only explanation I can find There's a love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world. Journal season, 50 years old. I am currently working as home support worker or caregiver. I moved to Canada October 28, 2008. We are 11 siblings, very poor. Kasi ang nanay ko is plain housewife, and then ang tatay was before he was working in a logging, and then nagkaroon siya ng accident, nagkaroon siya ng knee injury, and so from that on, ano na lang kami sa farm. Ako naman, working students din ako. From, if I remember, nag-i-start na ako like grade 4 na tumutulong na doon sa barangay captain namin, meron silang store. So tumutulong na ako doon sa store. And then nagkaroon yun ng mga like NPA military encounter. So nag-declare ng no man's land sa barangay namin. So pumunta kaming town, and then doon na nag-start na tumitira na ako ng unti-unti doon para ako ang inampon din, barangay captain namin. Simpleng pangarap ko, like, laptop, like, ang anak ko gustong malamig kasi nung na-hospital siya, ayaw niya niyang lumabas kasi daw sabi niya may aircon. So, simpleng ganong pangarap. Hindi ko mabibili. Dahil talagang, kahit at night, I was working, kasi mostly talaga panggabi ako. At night, I was working, and then punta ako sa umaga after mag-pick up ng mga paninda. So wala talaga, hindi talaga kasya.
My name is Raquel Narway. I'm 38 years old. At the moment, I'm working as a maintenance planner. So, my life in the Philippines was really, 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 really hard. Like, I would say that I'm probably one of the most, like, I would say superlative, most and poorest person in the Philippines. I grew up on top of the mountain, no electricity, no proper water filtration and everything like that. I had to walk 5 kilometers one way to go to school every day when I was like a kid. And then my father died when I was 13 years old, and my mother was left with 6 kids. So just imagine, my mom didn't have a proper job really. So just imagine the struggle that we had. We had to dig something from the forest for us to be able to eat on that day. And sometimes we just sleep without eating anything. I work in high school. I got scholarship in college, and I was able to finish my degree. And after that, I just went on and on with looking for opportunities here and there, like in the Philippines or out of the country. I was already earning good money, but I was not contented, I guess. I mean, I was looking for more opportunities because at that time my mom was sick and I really wanted her to have a better life. So I found more opportunities online, and I found an employer here in Canada. So that's when I came here as a nanny.
So I'm Claire, 28 years old, office manager. I'm currently studying as an international student. Well, my family are in the upper middle class, so I can say na privileged enough kami na, actually I don't necessarily need to move here technically to work my ass off. Like, I'm not sending money to the Philippines, and I feel like I'm happy, lucky, and grateful na ganun yung setup na binigay sa akin ng mundo. I'm gay ever since I was 6 years old. Medyo tanggap ko na kasi na ganun sa Philippines. But for my partner, I think isa sa mga reasons niya talaga for moving here, like for accepting my invitation to move here, was pagdating dito, we can get married. I just feel guilty na parang syempre maganda yung position niya sa Philippines and okay naman yung salary niya, like it's not middle, it's like higher than the usual in the Philippines. So I just feel like ngayon iba-ibang jobs yung na-explore niya and she has no choice but to be flexible. Unlike sa Philippines, kumbaga alam na niya na she's an operations manager. And it's like sa business side and everything. But in here, we're quite restricted kasi bilang international students and open work permit, hindi pa kami pwede gumawa ng any business here. So it's like we're just in here, sort of to survive. Survival mode muna.
Though we were in poverty in the Philippines, we were poor in the Philippines and never experienced taking care of other people's kids. So I had to learn, how to change diapers, how to clean houses, because when I was in the Philippines, even we were living on top of the mountain, my father was like, just go and study, we'll do everything for you. So when I arrived here, I was like, I imagine myself crying while when the kid I was watching vomit on me. I was like, I never experienced this. Like, even I was poor, I never experienced being other people's maid. Why am I doing this? I was crying while I was cleaning his vomit. I was like, I was a professional teacher in the Philippines. Everybody called me ma'am. So I was like, what am I doing here? But then in my mind, you know what? I am here for a reason. And that reason was for me to have a better life, to give my family back home a better life.
Ang nag-sponsor sa akin, unang employer, is childcare. Napunta ako sa Kinel. For some reason, hindi kami nag-click talaga. Finire ako, na nag-work lang ako sa kanila ng 1 month. Ang gusto ng employer na yon, i-transfer ako sa Chiliwak. Mayroon daw silang kaibigan dyan, Chiliwak na employee, na willing na sa akin, mag-take over. Sabi ko, I choose to stay doon kay auntie. Ayoko sumama. Nagalit sila. Alam mo, finire ako that day, pinatayan ako ng ilaw, na wala din akong kamalay-malay. Talagang inosente ako, umakyat pa ako. Sabi ko, ma'am, ang tawag ko, ma'am, wala na akong ilaw. Tapos talagang dinidma ako. That was November 28, sa Conel, kasagsagan ng snow. Pack your things in 10 minutes or else we will throw sa snow, sabi. Pababa ako, kasi dahil sila pababa ako, ang dinasal ko lang, Lord, ang dasal ko lang, Lord, padalhan mo ako ng tao na maghatid sa akin. Mga ilang minuto lang, wala yatang minuto, segundo, may truck na pag ganong direction, pag ganito kami, pag ganong direction. Tapos, alam mo, umikot siya. Sabi niya, is somebody pick you up? No, sabi ko, no, my employer just fired me. Tapos umiiyak na ako. Tapos sabi niya, oh, where are you going? Sabi ko, I don't know the address, but I know how to, kasi nga naglakad ako, I know how to go there. Tapos alam mo ba, tinuro ko lang sa kanya yung daan, natuntun ko yung bahay nila, Auntie Bibang.
Bata pa lang po talaga ako, parang wala pa po akong malay, hindi ko na po siya nakikita. I think I remember po one time, uuwi po siya ng Pinas. Pero sabi po ng tita ko, yung nag-alaga po sa akin na, dadating yung friend ni mama mo, pipick upin natin yung camera ang pinadala niya. Tapos pagdating po ng airport, niyakap po niya ako. Siya po pala yung nanay ko. Kasi po sabi ko, hindi ko po kilala. Wala na po akong nakilalang hardworking na ibang tao katulad ng nanay ko.
Uuwi naman, di ba?
Kahit po lahat ng friends namin, like ng mga close family friends, alam po nila. Wala pong na-attend na birthday yan kasi laging nasa work. Alam, dito po parang big adjustments. Kasi po kahit yung papa ko, hindi ko po kasama sa Pilipinas. So, nung pagdating po dito, parang nakakabigla na, dalawang tao kasama mo na hindi mo masyadong ka-close. Ganun.
I'm Vincent, I'm 23 years old, and I work for TransLink as a social media content creator.
moving here with my mom and living with her permanently it's really weird. It's really weird. I mean, I was happy, obviously. Like, between me and my brother, I'm more close to my mom than he is because I guess we're both females. And I guess that's one factor. And I borrow her clothes. I'm more like steal, but I'll say borrow. I moved to Canada, like I said, when I was 16. And so I guess I have my own way of thinking. And, you know, I don't know how old she was when I moved, but I don't know, it's different when you, I guess, can establish the relationship early on in life than establishing that relationship later. My mom's working, you know, when we were here, when we just moved here, obviously she's working all the time and she had 2 jobs at the time. And so there's not really a lot of time for her kids unless it's her day off.
My name is Tiffany Evastola. I am 25 years old and I am a nurse. My dad was 15 years old when he immigrated here from the Philippines, and my mom was in college. My parents don't really understand the importance of rest. They're constantly going because of how they feel towards making ends meet, right? And so because of that, I feel like they neglected their mental health a lot, and that impacted me a lot as a child.
Kasi po yung nanay ko, hindi po siya yung type na ma-showy sa love. Like yung sa salita, sa actions po talaga. Like kunyari, bibigay niya na lang po yung mga kailangan mo, like di mo naman inaas. Umiyak ma. Yun po, like, sobrang na-appreciate ko lang po siya nung, lalo na lumabas si Ellie.
Something that I want to say to my parents is obviously thank you for your sacrifice. Your sacrifice is
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikikane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikikane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to 1680 The Crow. I'm Jocelyn Chappelle with your 3 p.m. news headlines. Fans were left disturbed after a brawl broke out during a Surrey soccer game. BCIT reporter Jake Rajlali has more.
At Newton Athletic Park, a frightening incident occurred when a group of South Asian men disrupted a soccer game and attacked players from a Latin American team. The trouble started after a foul during a Metro Vancouver Soccer League match. Witnesses were deeply shocked, with some saying it was one of the scariest things they had ever seen. The group rushed onto the field and a big fight broke out, which led to the police being called, with 6 police cars arriving, including officers from Surrey Police Service and Surrey RCMP. Amateur sports expert Steve Erickson stressed the need for better security at sports events.
In today's world, I guess you have to look at extra security just to be a little more vigilant is what you're looking at.
Surrey RCMP Sergeant Tammy Lobb said an investigation is ongoing and they're reviewing security footage to figure out what happened. So far, no one has been arrested. Jagraj Lawley, 1680 The Crow.
We are now joined by BCIT reporter Jake Rajlali. So, Jake Raj, can you describe the behavior of the individuals who stormed the soccer field in more detail?
Jocelyn, according to eyewitness accounts, roughly 15 South Asian men aged 20 to 35 who were watching the game ran onto the field and joined in the assault. They were described as throwing punches and contributing to the disturbing incident.
How did the Latin American team respond during the incident?
A spectator mentioned that the Latin American team appeared to be frightened and did not retaliate during the assault. They were described as being scared and afraid and refrained from engaging in the altercation, even when confronted by the group of South Asian men. Back to you, Jocelyn.
Thanks so much, Jake. The BC government introduced new legislation this morning that hopes to streamline and add transparency to municipal changes for amenities and infrastructure. A local development institute is calling the changes some of the most substantial changes to the development approval process in decades. If passed, Bill 44 would require local governments to use an upfront framework during planning and pre-zone land to meet housing needs. Simply put, this means amenity costs and agreements would be compiled at the beginning of a project rather than during the rezoning stage. The bill would also apply to Vancouver under the city's own charter. A judge is expected to issue a sentencing today to the man who admitted to dangerous driving that caused the death of 2 UBC students in 2021. Both Crown and defense suggest a 3-year sentence and a 5-year driving ban for Tim Gerner. Evan Smith and Emily Selwood, both 18, were killed in the high-speed crash in 2021 when Gerner's car left the road and hit the pair on a university sidewalk. Gerner had initially been charged with impaired driving as alcohol was found to be in his system and pleaded guilty last month to dangerous driving causing death. The Canadian Dental Association recommends that most people should go to the dentist every 6 months. That's not possible financially for many Canadians. However, our reporter Jake McGrail shares how BCIT students do have access to dental services.
A recent report from Statistics Canada says that over a third of Canadians didn't go to the dentist at any point in the last year. The most common stated reason why is the cost of a visit. 35% of Canadians don't have dental insurance, which can make the cost of seeing a dentist prohibitive. However, some BCIT students might not be aware that they do have dental coverage. All full-time BCIT students are automatically enrolled in the BCIT SA Health and Dental Plan, which is included in the standard student fees. The plan includes free dental checkups on the BCIT Burnaby Campus that can be booked online. Jake McGrail, 1680 The Crow.
A national security watchdog says Ottawa must spur changes to the RCMP's federal policing program to ensure Canadians are properly protected. Jim Bronskill with the Canadian Press has more.
The National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians warns the key program has challenges, from weak governance and staff vacancies to poor data management that undermine its work. In a new report, the committee says federal policing is not as effective, efficient, flexible, or accountable as it needs to be to protect Canadians from the most significant threats. The report says the government should take a clear role in driving reforms to federal policing. Jim Bronskill, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
The jury in Peter Nygaard's sexual assault trial heard closing arguments from Crown and defense lawyers today. Multiple complainants in the trial have alleged they were taken to the former fashion mogul's Toronto headquarters under false pretenses and were sexually assaulted in Nygaard's top-floor bedroom suite. The incidents allegedly occurred from the 1980s to mid-2000s. The 82-year-old founder has pleaded not guilty. Ukrainian children abducted by Russia during its assault on the country are sharing the stories of their captivity with Canadian parliamentarians in hopes they will rescue others. Members of Parliament were tearful as 4 teenagers who were forcefully taken from Ukraine shared their stories with a House of Commons subcommittee on international human rights. Save Ukraine CEO Mykola Kuleba says those children who remain in Russia are stripped of their Ukrainian identities. The Canadian Press has audio from the day.
I appeal to you today to use your voices to condemn Russian forcible transfer of Ukrainian children as genocide and to pursue accountability for perpetrators of this devastating crime.
It is unclear how many children have been taken to Russia or territories it controls in Ukraine, but Save the Children says Ukrainian and Russian estimates of that number range from 2,000 to 20,000. The Montreal Police Department is investigating overnight fire bombings at 2 Jewish institutions in the Montreal suburb of Dollard-des-Ormeaux. There was minor damage to the front door of a synagogue and the back door of a nearby building that houses a Jewish organization. Montreal police have not confirmed a motive for the fire bombings. Yair Slack, president and CEO of Montreal Jewish Organization Federation CGA, says there has been an increase in anti-Semitism since the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. Here is a clip from the Canadian Press.
To perpetuate that crime against humanity by acts against the Jewish community anywhere in the world is wrong. What has happened today cannot happen again. It must be the last time this happens.
There have been 38 reports of hate crimes and other incidents targeting the Montreal Jewish community between October 7th and October 25th. As many as 25 Canadians have left the Gaza Strip for Egypt. International Development Minister Ahmad Hassan confirmed the news to reporters on Parliament Hill this morning. Here's the Canadian Press with audio of the announcement.
They're now safe and sound in Egypt, and we're very, very happy about that. It's a result of weeks and weeks of work in the region with our allies, and we will continue to work hard to get the rest of the Canadians who are stranded in Gaza out.
About 80 people connected to Canada were listed on an approved evacuation document from the General Authority for Border Crossing in Gaza. Heading into sports now, The Canucks are having a great start of their season. Their best, actually, at 9-2-1. This is the best first 12 games in team history. Defenseman Quinn Hughes has been named the NHL's first star of the week after putting up 8 points in his last 3 games. The Edmonton Oilers lost last night 6-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. Here's the call on Sportsnet 650 as Niles Holander scores, giving the Canucks a 4-2 lead.
Bogle tried to dump it down the boards, gave it away to Hoglander, banks it to center for Lafferty. It's a 3-on-1 if the Canucks hurry. Lafferty, left wing, shoots, stopped by Skinner, rebound, Hoglander scores!
Today, the Oils goaltender Jack Campbell is now on waivers. Campbell's numbers this season haven't been looking good. Among the NHL goaltenders that have played 250 minutes this season, Campbell's save percentage is the 5th worst. The Oilers are now tied for the worst franchise record through 11 games. The Toronto Maple Leafs, Calle Jarnkrok scored his second goal of last night's game, 46 seconds into overtime to give the Leafs a 6-5 victory over Tampa Bay Lightning. Here's the final call on Sportsnet 590.
Remember, here's Nylander, and across the line, works to the right wing boards, dropping it back. Morgan Riley in front, they score! Jarnkrok wins the game!
The Leafs won 6-5. In the world of Major League Baseball, Toronto Blue Jays coach Dong Manningling is one of the people that the Milwaukee Brewers are considering for their vacant manager job. Others in the mix are Brewers bench coach Pat Murphy, Houston Astros coach Joe Espeta, and Los Angeles Dodgers first base coach Clayton McCullough. Astros Troy Snitker and former Brewers infielder Ricky Weeks. The Brewers' job opened up on Monday when Craig Counsell accepted a 5-year deal from the Chicago Cubs. A successful Pan Am Games in Chile earned 12 Canadian athletes and teams a spot in next summer's Olympics in Paris. In boxing, Tamara Tigo and Wyatt Sanford secured their spots. Philip Kim won gold in his spot in men's breaking, more commonly known as breakdancing. Canada ended the games with 46 gold medals. For weather, it is mainly sunny. We're seeing a mix of sun and cloud all day, and we're going to be sitting at around 10 degrees. Wind is expected to ease up this evening, and showers are likely to return tomorrow. The winds right now are sitting at around 20 kilometers per hour. If you're driving this afternoon, steer clear of 37th Avenue. U Street is blocked in both directions due to a fallen tree about an hour ago. Crews are still working to clean up the area. A portion of Highway 3 is still closed today in both directions after a rock slide near Caramias. The estimated time of reopening is unavailable. There is a detour available via Highway 97 to Highway 97C to Highway 5A. Thank you for tuning in to 1680 The Crow. I'm Jocelyn Chappelle, and those were your 3 p.m. news headlines.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trentonero.
And I'm Radhika Siggi-Kane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Welcome to another edition of For the Record on 1680 The Crow. I'm your host, Filip Kovacevic. With winter getting closer, vehicular accidents due to poor weather conditions become even bigger problems. Today we have Zoltan Kolotska, the estimating manager at ICBC working in the material damage department, here to talk about his experience with damaged vehicles.
I started at ICBC approximately 10 years ago as a total loss handler. With my previous manager's experience, I quickly moved up and became a material damage manager in total loss department. Managers at ICBC regularly rotated around every 2 to 3 years. So from total loss department, my next stop was out of province and subrogation department. In this department, estimating team deals with our customers. They're traveling outside British Columbia and unfortunately getting involved in some kind of an accident. Another part is subrogation, and this is where our estimators deal with estimates provided to us by third-party insurance companies when the third-party client is actually insured by another company other than ICBC. From this department, I did move to express estimating, and this is where our customers end up in an accident, and they take the vehicle into the auto-body shop. Auto-body shop estimators create a repair estimate for the vehicle, and they send that estimate to ICBC for review. They send it to this Express Estimating Department for review. Estimators at Express Department review the estimate, make sure that all the details are correct, and then they try to make the maximum repairability value for the vehicle. This is where they decide if the vehicle will be repaired or if it's going to be a total loss. So in this process, they create the value of some preliminary value of the vehicle. They obtain the salvage value of this salvage vehicle that usually will be sold on the auction for parts or auto body shops for rebuilding purpose. And if this cost of the repairs and salvage cost together make it a higher value than the actual value of the vehicle, then this vehicle would be a total loss. If the value is lower than the actual value of the vehicle, then the vehicle will be repaired, and the estimators would be giving a go-ahead to the body shop to repair the vehicle. So that was kind of like my third stop at ICBC, and as a fourth stop is actually my present position, back to the total loss department. And this total loss department actually changed the name, so now it's called the Vehicle Settlement Department. So I'm back here with staff, and we deal with total loss vehicles. So the vehicles that are being written off, we have to pay the proper value to their owners. So that would be kind of like the travels, from me. So I don't know if you can maybe stop here or so. Or if you want to make these smaller portions, or I don't know what would work for you.
No, we'll just keep going full time. And okay, so what time of the year do you usually get the most claims, and why?
Well, general rule of the thumb would be that in the winter time, due to worse weather conditions and occasional snow as well here in the lower mainland, there is more accidents and therefore more claims for us. Unfortunately, that was kind of like the pattern in previous years, but lately we are kind of like losing that difference, and the accidents are happening more and more into this regular summer or autumn times, and I would believe that due to the number of the cars on the road and the infrastructure didn't really change much in the last decades or so, just a pure congestion of vehicles on the road, brings us, I guess, like more damages and accidents than usually.
And do you have any tips or tricks for people making claims that would just make the process easier?
Generally, like calling right on time, recording all the details of the accident, having witnesses, that would all like speed up the process, because determining the liability of the accident is sometimes a big deal. So that could take a long time. Unfortunately, the body shops are really very busy as well, due to, I guess, high numbers of these accidents. So having more body shops would help. Occasionally, we do have little prolonged estimating times in our department as well. So maybe having more staff at ICBC in estimating and the total loss department, that would help. So there's a lot of little things, that could help improving the speed, and quality of the process.
And what is the process for you to receive a request for vehicle damage estimations?
Well, how everything starts, like customers report the claim, and from that report, they're advised that they have to take the vehicle to the body shop for this repair estimate. So these are usually express-enabled body shops, so they have an agreement with ICBC that they deal with the claims in priority manner, and they have certain processes they have to follow. So once they do the estimate repair, these estimators from the body shop would provide that estimate to our express estimating, which will review the estimate and make sure that everything is done properly, that nothing was missed, that the rates are properly done, and they would then review and either approve the express estimate for the vehicle to be repaired, or if they decide that this repair is like too high, then they would declare the vehicle a total loss. So that's kind of like the first part of it, deciding like if the vehicle is repairable or not. Once they decide that the vehicle is repairable, they would send this same estimate as approved back to the body shop, and that would initiate the process of repairing the vehicle. If, on the other side, they determine that this repair value is too much and that it's worth more than the actual value of the vehicle, then they would determine that the vehicle is unrepairable, not economical to repair, so it would deem it a total loss. And then from that point, the activity would be sent to the vehicle settlement department for the vehicle settlement representatives to settle the claim with registered owners of the vehicle.
And have you ever seen anything, anything like interesting during your job, like any interesting claims?
Definitely. We deal with different types of vehicles, electrical vehicles, regular vehicles, motorhomes, specialty vehicles. So we do have occasionally motorhomes, and some of them are literally some people's homes, so we really have to treat those with a special care, because that is not just a vehicle, but sometimes even a home for these people. So, some of them are literally like with a couple of rooms, kitchens, bathrooms, and stuff. So it is definitely a next level of estimating then.
That's it for today's edition of For the Record. I'm your host, Philip Kovacevic, and remember to drive safe this winter. Keep listening for more later on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon and welcome to your 3:30 news. I'm Melanie Levesque and this is 1680 The Crow. The first group of Canadians have left Gaza through Egypt. About 80 people connected to Canada were listed on an approved evacuation document from the General Authority for Border Crossings in Gaza, including 20 citizens. Speaking ahead of question period, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that although this is good news, there is still work to be done.
There are hundreds to get out, so we're going to continue to work day and night until all Canadians and their families are out of Gaza. This is a priority for this government.
This is the first time Canada was listed among the countries with citizens given the green light to leave Gaza since the war began a month ago. A national security watchdog is warning that Ottawa must make major changes to the RCMP's federal policing program to be sure Canadians are properly protected. Jim Bronskill of the Canadian Press has more.
The National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians warns the key program has challenges, from weak governance and staff vacancies to poor data management that undermine its work. In a new report, the committee says federal policing is not as effective, efficient, flexible, or accountable as it needs to be to protect Canadians from the most significant threats. The report says the government should take a clear role in driving reforms to federal policing. Jim Bronskill, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
A rock slide in southern BC last night serves as an important safety lesson for drivers. Our reporter Jake McGraw has more.
The Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen ordered the evacuation of 2 RV parks along Highway 3 late last night. Rock slides like this one can be very dangerous due to their sudden nature. Information Officer for the RDOS Emergency Operations Center, Eric Thompson, says drivers across BC need to be ready for potential emergencies.
If you are traveling anywhere, especially in rural areas, it is important to have extra gear with you, to have what we call a grab-and-go kit.
A grab-and-go kit should include items like water, non-perishable food, first aid supplies, flashlights, and extra batteries. When it comes to the 6-kilometer stretch of Highway 3 that's now closed, there is currently no timeline for when it will reopen. Jake McGrail, 1680 The Crow.
2 Coastal GasLink protesters have been ordered to perform community service after they were part of the 56-day occupation of land along a pipeline route south of Smithers. Further court dates are scheduled later this month and early next year for the rest of the protesters. Officials are investigating an explosion at Canada's High Commission in Abuja, Nigeria, which killed 2 people and injured 2 others. Canadian reporter Laurie Paris has more.
Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly confirmed the deaths in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying officials are looking into the cause of the blast. Global Affairs Canada said its mission in Abuja's diplomatic quarter has temporarily suspended operations until further notice. A spokeswoman for the State Emergency Management Agency says the fire broke out while workers were servicing generators, and a tank containing 2,000 liters of diesel fuel exploded. The agency says the 2 killed were Nigerian maintenance workers, and another 2 maintenance workers are being treated for severe burns. Laurie Paris, The Canadian Press.
Business leaders are continuing to feel the impact of uncertainty between the Canadian and Indian governments as they argue that the suspension of free trade hurts both sides. Canada-India Foundation Chair Satish Thakur says the move by Canada in September hampers a two-way trade and discourages Indian students from coming to a country that needs their expertise.
Stopping any trade discussion or trade negotiation doesn't make sense. How that will help as a country? Close to over 40% of the international students are coming from India and contributing over $10, $11, $12 billion into the economy. And not only that, they are becoming the main, source of workforce, number one, and number 2, entrepreneurial.
Today in Vancouver, it is 10 degrees Celsius with a mix of sun and cloud. Looking further into this week, rainy conditions can be expected with a high of 11 degrees and a low of 6 degrees. That's all for today's news. I'm Melanie Levesque, and this is 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.